We all have heard about the exit interview, which HR specialists and recruiters recommend that people do not do them. But what about the online web-based employee exit survey? Should you do them or not? I'm Doug. This is Dying to Retire. It's a podcast about my journey into retirement and beyond. And before I talk about the two issues I had with the exit survey I just did, let's talk about what's the purpose of an exit survey so we have a baseline. The first one is understanding reasons for the departure. Why is the employee leaving? Second is identifying trends and patterns. Third, improving employee engagement and informing new hiring strategies. So let's get into it. Okay, my first issue with the exit survey that I just did. It came across more as a validation of the organization's diversity, equity, and inclusion, or my preference is diversity, inclusion, equity, because it spells DEI. It came across as a validation of their efforts there versus being an actual employee exit survey based on what I just gave you. What's the baseline? What's the intent of an exit survey or exit interview? Of about approximate 50 questions, 35 or more always use the word diversity, inclusion, equity thrown in there every so often, but it was diversity or inclusion. It's all they were asking. They were not asking, did you like the workplace as much? It was asking more as, was the workplace more diverse enough? Was your office inclusive? Were you included on everything? But workplaces are not democracies. There is a hierarchy of stuff. You don't want everything to be too flat, especially a government organization. It should not be too flat. Similar to the military pattern, you do have a hierarchy. Now, you can have over-inclusivity on it. And a perfect example of that is think about boot camp, all the movies you see, or any of y'all who are former military. The over-inclusivity of stuff is when you have your drill instructors, sergeants, and staff sergeants, they're out there and have a platoon of 70 brand new recruits coming in, or maggots, like Parasite likes to call us. It's as if a second lieutenant came in and said, hey, drill instructors, I know you have a wealth of knowledge. You went to training for this. These are your guys. You're running them through. You got to teach them these bare minimum things to graduate from boot camp. But before we do anything, I want to take a poll, get a pulse of the group, the platoon. And if they decide they don't want to train today, we're not going to do it because we're going to put it to a vote. Not to be mean, I don't care how many, they're not even E1s, they're recruits, are out there. You can add 70 together. They still don't equal one corporal, one sergeant, one staff sergeant. It doesn't work that way. It's not like the old TV program MASH when they put two corporals together. They're saying, hey, they put two captains together and they said that outranked a major. No, it does not. It doesn't happen that way. So that's an overuse of inclusivity. It never asked that question. Were you having too much? What's the word I'm looking for? And I'm sorry, I'm struggling with this one. It's leadership by committee. And it never asked, was there too much of that? Did anybody have accountability? Nope. It was validation about the organization's diversity and inclusion efforts. Next, my second issue I had with the survey. It was the overuse of the word challenge and challenging. And what I mean by that, it kept asking questions. Was your work challenging? Every day, did you get enough challenging? Did you challenge this or challenging that? To me, challenging is getting a 3-year-old to eat food they don't want or like. Challenging is having your direct leader or manager giving your KJEs, and what they are is you have to change a federal policy, and that's a requirement for your KJE as a lowly GS worker. A federal policy that was established by Congress or the executive office. And hey, it's a policy that your agency doesn't even own. I've seen that. And that's when I've discussed it. Yeah, it is disgusting. Sorry. That's when I've talked about before, you may have quiet quitting, but on the flip side, organizations have a thing called quiet firing, and they do it by giving you KJEs like that. But getting back to the challenge and challenging. The questions were framed that way. Were you challenged enough at work? Is that the right things to be asking? Because I don't know who the freaking data scientist was or HR person putting it in there, but I did not see many questions on, was your work impactful? Did you find your work rewarding? Was work, your job, rewarding? Now there's different ways you can do that. It can be close to home. The work kind of sucks, but it's close to home and the pay's not bad, so I can work. Okay, you have a trade-off on rewarding, but it didn't go after there. It went after, were you challenged enough? No one wants to be challenged all the time. People like to see the results of their work. And I'm going to put it the easiest way because I grew up in a farm country and everything on that. At the end of the day, the farmer can see the shit that they shoveled out of the barn, and it's now in a big pile that eventually is going to be spread on the hay field to help the hay grow faster. But when you can't see your results or the going to the results where it's going to eventually get there, that is demoralizing in my optics. So the lack of those questions being in there, just going, was it challenging? Yeah, I have shit coming out all the time. We're taking care of it. Does this fix anything? Does it solve anything? Do you have impact on your mission? Those are questions that exit surveys should have asked. So to wrap this up, exit surveys have a purpose, but I highly recommend, just like the exit interviews, don't do them if you don't have to. But if you have to, pick that neutral center row of answering all the questions. They can't hold it against you or for you either way, because it won't come and bite you in the ass later if you come back as a contractor or try to come back to the organization. That's just my recommendation. Again, I'm not a professional, but it's something I'm going to recommend. But my disappointment is they weren't looking to see what was the culture going on in the workplace. Why was the people with the institutional knowledge leaving the organization when they still had the opportunity to stay? And that, to me, was a lost opportunity for HR to be able to provide stuff to senior leadership where they can make effective changes. But unfortunately, in today's world, with this woke environment, DEI-ism, CRT-ism, whatever you want to call it, this is going in there. Now, the pendulum's going to come back in a couple of years, but this is what's going on. But I don't care if you're a company that has shareholders that you're responsible to, or working to a federal agency in which you have the taxpayers you're ultimately responsible to. We need to do better, and the organizations need to do that. Now, this is where you can do me a favor. If you have recently retired or getting ready to retire and have been asked to do an exit survey or an exit interview, can you give me your thoughts of your experiences down in the comments below? It'll be super important and helpful to everyone to see what else is going on, especially for the folks who haven't gotten there yet. Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, follow, all this other stuff. It helps with the algorithms, keeps my wife off my ass, all this wonderful stuff. As always, I'm Doug. This is Dying to Retire, and I'll see you in the next episode.